So good.
Okay, nope, we're up. Everybody's looking at us. Sorry, everybody. Welcome to the live stream. This is Najara Townsend on your right, star of the Stylist, and Jill. Jill, can you please pronounce your last name for everybody?
It's so easy. What do you mean? Jill Gavargazian.
Yeah, I stumble over one. There's an extra syllable in there that I'm stumbling over.
It's Gavargazian.
Gavar Gizion.
You got it there, I think.
Got it? Perfect.
Yes.
So if you're watching, it looks like we got some people watching. The reason we're doing this is because, let me get myself out of my own head. I can hear myself talking 10 seconds ago. The reason we're talking today is Jill has just started off a Kickstarter to fund her first feature film. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So a lot of you I know have probably already watched the short of The Stylist. We talked about that on the channel earlier this week. If you didn't, there's the poster. There's a link in the description below, and then there's also a link to the Kickstarter, and we'll talk more about that. But Jill, why don't you go first and just sort of talk about the inspiration for the project, what you're wanting to accomplish, and all of that good stuff.
All right. That is a huge question. Where do I start? Just kidding. It really. So I've been a hairstylist for over 15 years now. That's like been how I make a living. It's been a passion of mine for a long time, and also been a filmmaker for 5 years, making short films. And this idea came about because I was just kind of one day like, why isn't there already like a slasher hairstylist movie? Kind of seemed like an obvious thing, like especially maybe like a cheesy version of that. But we went a totally different route. But it's really inspired by like people like Leatherface, and the characters that are kind of more sympathetic. And as crazy as that sounds, not everyone sees him as sympathetic. I do. He's not like driven by evil. He's kind of just doing all he's ever known and what he's told to do, essentially. Which is not exactly similar to Claire, but he just in the sense of the way that he escapes through like wearing skin of his victims and be kind of like becoming them when he wears their skin. That simple concept is like kind of where the idea sprung from, mixed with the hairstylist world. And I just had this like vision of like this woman wearing like a scalp of a victim in this room full of trophies, like at first, like other previous scalps on mannequin heads. And that's just where it started. And so we made a short film that came out in 2016. It did pretty well, played like an insane amount of festivals and won a lot of awards. Najara won like 4 for her performance. It was crazy exciting. Like we couldn't even imagine it to go so well. It was always my hope to turn it into a feature-length film. And here we are finally. We're just like, we've been trying to make it for a few years. And we're just done waiting. So we're like, here we go. We're going to try to crowdfund this thing. Not try. We're going to. And so here we are. We're so excited. It's already going pretty well. Just a couple days in. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like it's off to a good start. And what's the total? Tell people what the total goal is for the Kickstarter.
It's 46,500.
Okay.
So it's intimidating because we've only done short so far together, or a short on Kickstarter, which is a much smaller amount to get overall. So
Yeah. This is a much bigger sum to ask for.
yeah.
So it's terrifying. But at the same time, like we're crazy passionate about this film. We know a lot of people who are also like really want to see it be made. So we're hoping we're willing it into existence that we'll make our goal and be able to make this movie because we love it.
So, and apologies to everyone watching if you can't see me. It's a new setup. I'll get it fixed. But right now, you'd rather look at the two of them than you'd rather look at me. But I'm here. But so the two things that I really like about the short, if I were to highlight two things, and one of them I mentioned to you, Najara, when you were on, is I was impressed with the I don't want to just isolate it to the color palette, but the look of it was it looks like it has a really high production value for a short. Like all the golds and stuff in the studio, then sort of transfer over to the basement scene with the candles and stuff. it just looks really, really polished. So that's one reason I'd love to see what you can do with a full-length feature. And then two, there's all these little details that like I want to know more about. Like, why is she I mean, we're doing spoilers because hopefully people watched it. And if you didn't watch it, it's a 10-minute short. Just go watch it when you're done with this. But when she gets to the basement and tries on the scalp and then kind of starts crying, to me, it would seem like, oh, it didn't work. Like whatever's in her head that she's gonna do, like what she's trying to accomplish, it's not working. And like hopefully the feature is able to like explore some of that, even if it doesn't explain everything in detail, just to explore that stuff more, I think would be really great.
That's exactly what we're hoping, like, to say with that. Like, this is her escape, and this time, in a short, like, this time it's not working. And we expand on that in the feature. It's kind of a lot about, like, that character's downward spiral into, like, madness of sorts, of her own version of madness. Lost my trail of thought there.
But you're gonna be filming it in Kansas City, is that correct?
Yes. Oh,
and is that your hometown, or?
It is. It's where I've grown up, and we've shot all of my short films there. But I wanted to mention the color palette, which we're super, like, very proud of how it looked. We had an amazing production designer, Sarah Sharp. She's also one of the producers, and she's on the feature too. Me, her, and the director of photography, Robert Stern, we really sat down and like meticulously planned out how that film was going to look. And they really taught me a lot. They were way more experienced when I made that short, and I knew I wanted it to be like very stylish. Like, we're making a film about that world, especially like almost overly stylish, and it's really inspired by David Fincher's color palettes. He has like you're saying, very distinct color palettes you can pick out of movies. And I try to do that pretty much all the time. But with this one, it was like, kind of like hyper stylized. Like, we have like a bright neon yellow light, coming out of like the back room of the salon to enhance that gold stuff you're talking about. And we definitely want it. Well, like we were talking about what's important to us to keep protect with the feature. And we want to keep that like elegance, kind of like it's a gory movie, but we also did it in like a very like elegant way. I like to think. So yeah, we definitely want to keep that feeling and look
for the feature. Yeah.
Are we? Obviously, I don't want to do like massive spoilers here, but with this being an audience, we're trying to get to kind of help support the film. And I'll plug it a few times because people watching, they don't, they may be hopping on. The Kickstarter link is in the description. But one thing that I just really wondered about, and you can refuse to answer, or you can just do a simple yes or a no. I was so curious how she went about getting rid of this body, because I assume she has to get rid of the body. I'm just curious, like, are we gonna get to see some of that?
Well,
you can decide not to answer.
A lot of people do ask about the short.
I mean, that's a common question, right? Like, you look at me, and I do that horrific thing in a salon, which is, I mean, obviously we're in like a city. So how does she get rid of the body? That's a very normal question to wonder. And we talked about whether we should address it or not in the feature. And I think we found a happy medium in that. So you might get some of your questions answered, but then you might not.
Not all of them. Yeah. No, I mean, I dig that. I dig not fully explaining everything, but just at least letting us like see like a little more of what's going on,
Exactly.
Yeah. I think you'll get that a lot throughout the whole movie. Obviously, like it is just a bigger glimpse into this woman's world and like how she got this way and why, like what happens to her when she can't handle her own like mental state,
Yeah.
So you're gonna see more in general. You're gonna
Speaking of more, are there any other obviously there's other characters in it, but are there any other like distinct and really interesting, like standout characters that we're gonna get to see in the feature, or is it just really wrapped up with her?
There is another big character. It's still very much like Claire's story, but there's another big character. Her name is Olivia, and she is a client of Claire's, like a longtime client, and she's about to get married. Claire's doing her hair for her wedding, and so like through like kind of the wedding festivities, Olivia invites her along to some things, and Claire like reads into that a little too much, and when it isn't what she perceived it to be, kind of like sends her into this downward spiral. And she kind of like really like really admires this woman, and it turns to like envy. And it's this woman's kind of like everything she's not. It's like everything she wishes she could be, like confident and happy and independent. And so it's kind of like her, I don't know, her everything she wants to be, but it's still, mostly Claire's story, but we really, in this cool way, like mirror the characters, as like they're almost doppelgangers of each other.
Well, and we'll just take a quick second to explain, because I see a couple of questions, people that kind of hopped on maybe 5 minutes ago. Mm-hmm. So there's a link in the description for a short film that Jill on your left directed and that Najara on your right stars in. So it's a horror short. It's called The Stylist. Check it out. And then there's also a Kickstarter link as well. So if you didn't know what we were getting ready to do, that's the thing. So Jill, I had a hard time coming up with, and this is maybe where you're coming from, but I had a hard time coming up with female killers in horror movies. I mean, obviously there's some, but as far as like iconic, like ones with distinct characteristics and stuff like Leatherface, I had a hard time coming up with it.
Yeah, I know. We need more of them.
It makes sense.
To be fair, in like reality, I guess like infamously, there's more male serial killers.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes sense that that's reflected in films. But it was just, this is like a really feminine take on a lot of those kind of characters, like Leatherface and Maniac. But then like I'm really inspired by May. That's one, but she's not like a serial killer. She just like has that, spoiler alert, like break down and goes on a spree, which is like a totally different thing than kind of like a totally different psychology than a serial killer. But there aren't that many, and we want to make an awesome one. Maybe like 10 years from now, there's The Stylist Part 10. We've already set one of the sequels. It's Claire in London. Spoiler alert.
We're in London,
which is where we are right now.
Yeah.
Hence why we're talking about that.
Have you legitimately written beyond the feature?
No, because it would be kind of hard. I mean,
you don't have to say.
It's kind of like
why, but I didn't know if you had this like
set up for like a sequel by any means. I kind of have it set up to not be a sequel. That doesn't mean that she dies. That's not what's happening.
Yeah. No. I got you.
But I've always joked that it would be funny to like, almost like my idol, Toby Hooper, do what he did and then make like a sequel that's kind of like ridiculous, almost making fun of his own movie.
Yeah.
Which he did with Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah.
Too. So yes, we'll do a Claire in space 10 years from now.
Yeah. Or I mean, like Toby Hooper went down. I mean, his like Life Force and stuff. He really went into some crazy directions after Texas Chainsaw. I think a lot of people don't know about those movies. But one thing that you touched on that I like, not just in horror, but in it's a thing I like, and it reflects something that I don't like. I don't like when and this is like a trend in Hollywood lately, where they just put a woman in a role that easily could have been written for a man, and it's just like, oh, this character is a woman. Like we're being inclusive rather than having a story and a character that is uniquely feminine. And so that's kind of what I like about The Stylist is like this is a serial killer that could almost only be written as a woman. To me, that's what it seems like.
I hear you. It is a very feminine story. But then to be fair, there are a lot of writers that will write characters like just they're not thinking about gender at all.
Right.
That's really cool because in a lot of like just things that we don't even realize we're like are in our heads that we like stereotype genders in a certain way. If we like write without thinking about that, I think that can also help, depending on like what you're writing, you know, and the characters, of course. But
yeah, I think more what I was saying was that Hollywood's got this trend of putting female leads into like what would just be this like uber masculine role, and it's just like it's just kind of a weird trend, and it ignores the concept of like having a uniquely a character that is uniquely woman, that's like a lead or a killer or a hero or whatever. They kind of seem to kind of lose that, and that's kind of what I liked about the Stylist is like it's kind of it's uniquely a female perspective on this like horror thing that people are so familiar with. You know, the serial killer is a very familiar thing, but then you're doing something somewhat unfamiliar with it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I love.
So I contributed yesterday.
Thank you
so much.
So my recommendation to people is go to the Kickstarter link in the description, check out all the tiers, because there's a bunch of tiers. There's one where you will cut somebody's hair if they're in or if they come to Kansas. So that would be pretty cool experience. But at the very least,
sign a waiver. Just kidding.
Not that I'm trying to encourage people to go to one tier or another, but at the very least, I felt like I like your tiers that include the premiere. So like for like $25, you can watch the movie the day it premieres. At what is there like a festival on deck for the premiere, or are you doing it in a local theater?
Well, that's to be determined.
Okay.
We'll hope for like a really big premiere, and we'll basically provide like a private link to all the backers that get that, so they'll be able to watch it at the same time, so they don't have to wait for when it actually comes out, which could be quite a bit after.
Yeah. So I think that's great. I think that's a great thing people should consider doing. I will be watching it. We might be able to do some other sort of live thing revolving around it, just depending on how things go when it actually does premiere. But at the very least, a $25 support is the cost of 2 movie tickets. So if you're watching it with somebody, then you get to watch this horror movie that not only do you get to watch it early, but you're like a part of it. Yeah. What'd you say?
You helped make it a reality. You helped make it a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your money went to pay for something you see on screen, maybe, or something behind the camera, and obviously you took part in this live stream as well. So now you're like part of the movie. It costs as much as it would cost you to go to the theater, and you can watch it at home early with a bunch of other people that are watching the premiere. I think that's a cool experience, and I think you guys put a good price point on that too. But then there's other stuff too. Like if you want to get more out of it, you can check all that out in the links. But yeah, I would encourage anybody to do that, especially if you're somebody that maybe lives somewhere where you have not been able to go to film festivals. It's a really cool experience to see things and share it with the filmmakers and be part of it. And if you just go to the theater, and you've never been to something like that, this is a good opportunity to take part in it.
Definitely. And there's, I don't know if it's on that pledge level, but you can, there will be like a private, like Instagram story link that certain people who pledge a certain amount will get to see. So you won't only be giving money to help make the film, but you'll get to see it like be made, how it's made, like certain behind the scenes things.
It's the next one right below that, $50.
$50.
And you know how Instagram has that like close friends only story option, and we're gonna make that like as we're even pre-production, but especially while we're making the film, we'll like do an obscene amount of behind the scenes for just the people that have done that. So it's like you really will be there with us every day as we're making the film.
Yeah.
And I was doing crazy amount of research to like think of like different ideas for rewards, and that one I got on Morgan Dameron's Different Flowers Kickstarter. So shout out. Everyone helped me. They don't even know, studying their Kickstarters.
Well, and I thought all of them were great. They all seem, none of them are like ridiculous, like, oh, for $50 you get a pencil, because some people do that. So I'll let you go through them, but if you need prompting, I have it pulled up. So that was we did the 25 to 50.
We got the poster,
and then the 100. Do you remember what's on the 100 one?
Yeah, we have at the $100. This is a highlighted one. We have a poster, which was this. This is not the poster size.
No.
It's just the same image. It's designed by Lou Rasconi, who we've worked with a lot in the past. He designed a couple of posters for the short, The Stylist. And so since we already had so much art for it, we were trying to think of what we could do that would be different. And if you're a fan of Maniac, classic slasher film, he's also a scalping killer. This is like just an homage to the original Maniac poster with Claire and her hairstylist shears. Why don't I have words today? And her scalp, a lovely bloody scalp.
Yeah.
The posters will be 11 by 17, and
this is a Kickstarter inclusive. Like, this is it. Yeah. If you get it on Kickstarter, it's the only place you can get it is Kickstarter.
And then you've got the 250. Oh, the 250, you get your name in the credits.
There you go. The special thanks.
And you get an IMDb credit.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah.
Whoa, for the 250 you get an IMDb credit?
Yes.
Yeah, because if you're in the credits, you're on IMDb.
Oh man. It's a pretty good way to buy your way into IMDb credit that you can just tell all your friends about. And then you go up, I love that you have a $666
that's
tier.
Pretty funny one. You get a haircut.
Yeah.
With a glass of wine to scare people more.
Oh, you should definitely give them a glass of red wine.
I'm going to add that. Okay, that's added.
Yeah, it's just in there. Yeah, no, the funny thing about the 666 one is this past weekend, so I like 7 days ago, almost to the minute, I was getting ready to pass 66,666 subscribers on YouTube, and I was watching it, waiting for it to tick over so I could screen grab it, and my daughter started crying, and I went and picked her up, and I came back, and it was like 30 seconds, and I missed it. It dialed up past the 6. I was so upset. And there's no way to get it back. I mean, I could Photoshop it, but I can't get it back. So then, you've got tiers that go way, way up, including at the 2,000 mark. Not only would you get your name in the credits, but you can be in the movie.
You get to be a featured extra. Who knows what you could be doing?
Yeah.
We've picked out some random spots in the script. You could be being kind of like watched and stalked by Claire as she's going through town, randomly watching people.
Yeah, and you've got somebody on board for that one already. So I mean, that's not a ridiculous. I mean, somebody's in there. You got a few left.
Yeah.
Cool stuff. So, is there anything else you want people to know about the project before we wrap up?
Well, where should we be? What do you want? Can I say something?
I mean, I feel like we've covered it. We want to make this movie. We're really, really passionate about it. And everybody who helps us do it, like, we're indebted to and we love. And if you have any questions, like, send them over on social media, where both of us will be happy to answer them and talk about it. We just really want to make the movie. We love it.
I think I should give a tiny bit little better pitch on the story. It's like a psychological thriller really meets like horror, what it's really about to me. Like, it's really about someone who wants an escape, and I think we can all really relate to that. So, and especially right now in my life, I'm going through kind of a lot personally, and it's really just felt like time to make this movie in so many ways. Like, I can relate to this character on a level of like understanding that I need this film as an escape for my life, is like she needs an escape from her life through this crazy obscene story, but it's ultimately like an emotional piece that we're trying to make and means a lot to us. So any help is appreciated.
Yeah, and again, I'm sorry to keep repeating, but people jump in and out of these things. I like the fact that you can be a part of it. You know, if you're not going to necessarily donate enough money to be in the movie, you can still get to watch it when everybody else sees it at the premiere. I'll be watching it at the same time, and again, maybe we'll do something. We'll see what happens with that. You know, where we do like maybe like a little like thing before and after the screening or something, or even if it's just me. But you get to contribute, make sure it gets made, and then also get to like, you know, enjoy the spoils of it. You get to see it, you get the poster, you get all the like fun stuff depending on what you pick. If you've never done a Kickstarter, it's easy. I'll be honest, I've never done one. I've never contributed to one. I've like back when they were really like when it was new, I browsed and I might have contributed for a product, but I never got anything out of it. So I don't think I did. And then I did it yesterday, and it's like the easiest thing. You just pick the tier, you put in your information, you do it, and then you don't like because let's explain to people that don't know. You guys don't get the money if you don't meet the goal.
Yeah, and so you're actually pledging your money, so it won't actually, you know, come out until the end if we make our goal. So it's like that's also something that kind of makes you feel like I think more protected as someone who pledges. Is it's not just, and also I can promise you, we are not people who would ever like have a successful Kickstarter and not follow through with our project. Like I just would never let that happen, no matter what. So you have nothing to worry about. If we're successful, the film will happen.
Well, and I would imagine, I mean, like I said, the short was so well produced, or at least it appeared to be. I don't know if you guys had any troubles, you know, on set, but everything was really polished, and it looked. I don't know if you want to share. I mean, you've got some financial information out there because you've got this goal. Like, how much did the short cost? Is that public knowledge, or do you even know? did it? You have to rake so much together.
We did have a little budget for a short. You know, more than some people don't have. They'll make shorts for really absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Just because everyone's willing to work on something for a few days. But we did a tiny Kickstarter for it.
Okay.
And we had some money outside of it. So we had like maybe about 12 grand for the short. Okay. So if you do the math, like actually only about 50 for a feature is not a lot of money.
No, it's not. But if you're able to really kind of get all the money on the screen like it appeared you did in the short, then I think you're in business.
And we have ambitious goals that we can get a lot more done along the way. But as long as we get this amount on Kickstarter, then we can definitely get this thing made. And I don't know, we're just so excited. It's been a long time coming. Then we finally were pulling the trigger. We're like, we're doing it. We're done waiting for like, as they say, like permission. Like you just have to decide you're going to actually do something. And that's it, I think.
Yeah, well, so everybody that's watching, I'm not saying go give them your money. I'm saying go check out the Kickstarter. There's a good presentation that Jill gives, and you see some clips. There's also a link to the short. Watch it. At the very least, watch the short, and then just at least browse the Kickstarter and kind of check it out and see if it's like something you want to support. And like I said, be a part of, because you get to you're part of the filmmaking process if you contribute, and I think that's pretty neat. And I think your tiers and stuff all look really good. It looks like you get good value out of it. So please, if you are a fan of the channel, if you're a fan of Najara's been in. So just for people that don't know, Najara, I don't know, it's hard to recognize you sometimes from like, it's like your hair's different, and then
I change my hair a lot, and I dress different, and I act not like I act a little like more, I don't know, goofy than my characters. I usually play really like emotional characters that are kind of serious, but in real life I'm like not so serious.
But contracted would be the thing you'd probably recognize Najara from the most.
Contracted,
right?
Yeah.
That'd be the one most people have seen, and that's certainly one we talked about on the channel. So
Yeah.
that's Najara. She's been on the podcast before. Jill, first time meeting you. So I appreciate you coming on.
Thank
And I
you so
appreciate you
much.
just sharing your project with everybody and encouraging everybody to be, a part of it. I think that's going to be fun. I'm going to be keeping track of it. I'll give updates as stuff kind of starts to happen, but you won't need updates from me if you contribute enough on Kickstarter, because you'll get to see the whole filmmaking process, which I think is pretty cool. So thanks again to y'all for coming
you.
on. Before
Thank
you guys
you,
sign off of the
Sarah.
live stream, just go ahead and we're wrapping up. Go ahead and click the link. Go check out the Kickstarter. And hopefully we get to do it again when the movie's made.
Definitely.
All right, you guys enjoy. Jill, enjoy the rest of your time in England.
Thank you.
Najara,
Thanks.
keep on
I'll see
enjoying
you soon.
England. And again, thank you guys for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. We do too.
All right.